Alright, is everything ready here? Everything over there is turned off. Everything over there is turned on. I think it's ready to go. So let's go ahead and get this started. Hello, Shadowcat back. And normally I would be doing a lecture on Saturdays, but there's a lot of stuff going on right now that I could talk about, and we may talk about some of it today, but I'm just not feeling it. I want a day off. That's what I really want. I want a day off. I mean, I actually do this like 7 days a week because I do try to keep a schedule going. And so even though there's times when it's like I could really use a day off, it's like, yeah, but you should be doing something. And it's like, all right, fine. Then let's think about it. Let's think about this. If you had a day off, what would you be doing? And then it's like, well, if I had a day off, the one thing that I'd really want to be doing is learning how to use this AI image generator. And it's like, okay, dumbass, then why don't you just do that instead? And it's like, oh yeah, that is kind of a good idea. So, here we are. Let me make sure that my chat's pulled up. I don't think anyone's in the chat yet. We'll just pop that out. Yep, it's just me here for right now. That's fine. If people want to come in later, they can come in later. If they don't, that's fine. I'm going to play by myself then. Believe me, I grew up by myself. I was an only child for most of my life. So, I'm well acquainted to playing by myself. Let's just make sure that everything is straightened out here with the chat, just in case somebody else does come in. And then we can get to playing. So, I don't know that much about AI art generation, or AI image generation. There is still, of course, the raging debate as to whether AI art is art, and I gotta say, the more I learn about it, the more I'm actually sliding into the category that AI art is art. And the reason for that, I was already kind of on that side. I'm gonna get things turned on here. So this is Comfy UI. That's the prompt part of it. Well, the command line of it, anyway. And here's the actual interface. So we'll get to work on that. But anyway, there's been a lot of debates about what is art and what isn't art. And when I think about art, I think about art being something that requires a certain amount of skill, a certain amount of training, and a certain amount of practice to become proficient at. That's why I really disagree with this whole idea of modern art. And when I see things that people call modern art, I mean, sure, there are things that are obviously not art. Like that one portrait where it's just like a black bar that goes up the middle of a white canvas. It's got a name. I don't know what the name is, but that's not art. I mean, why you'd want to hang that in your room, I don't know. Why would you want to hang that anywhere? That's not art. It's just a black bar on a canvas. A better example, however, because of something that could be debatably called art, is what I like to call bucket art. And if you've never seen this, I wonder if I can pull up a video of it. The idea behind bucket art is that you get like a big canvas and you put it down on the floor. Then you have a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, and you fill that bucket with paint. You poke holes in the bottom of it, you wrap it up in tape, you fill it with paint, and then you rip the tape off, spin the bucket, and throw it in circles. It's hanging from the ceiling. And you throw it in circles, and it creates these spiral patterns across the canvas. Now, I've had long debates on this one. Is that art? Most people would inherently just knee-jerk say, yes, of course it's art. It's creative. I would counter that by saying, Yes, and the drawing that your 5-year-old made for you that you put on the refrigerator with a magnet is also technically creative. But is it art? I don't know. And the fact is, anybody can take a box of crayons and scribble something on paper. I mean, that's no big deal. Anybody can take a bucket filled with paint, put some holes in it, spin it around in a canvas, and then say, look what I did. And yeah, I think I'm going to pull up a picture of that stuff. We'll go with this one. Nope, not that tab. We're going to go for bucket painting. Yeah, here we go. Don't want sound on it. But here we go. Let me drag this over. But yeah, there's this. Let me make sure this is all coming through just fine. It appears to be. Okay, we're good. So, yeah. Creating paintings with a swinging paint bucket. And so, like I said, just lay out the massive canvas, get a bucket, put some holes in it, and spin the bucket and, you know, just swing it around. Is this art? I have a very difficult time agreeing that it is. Because what skill did this take? I mean, there is some experience to it, to learning how to do it better, I will grant that. And there's, of course, color choices and things of that nature. But is this really anything on par with, like, classical Renaissance art? I don't think so. So as popular as this may be, and as proud as they may be, see, his original piece of sell for up to $50,000. I mean, that's more or less than a Picasso, but it's not. Almost had to sneeze. It's not a small amount of change either. So I don't know what to really say about that. I would not consider it art. I think that art requires practice, it requires refinement, and there is nothing that he's doing here that I could not equally do as well. And I'm a terrible artist. I really am. So, when we get back to this whole idea of like AI art, I questioned it for a long time. But then, I thought about something, because we've had this discussion before. We've talked about things like video games, okay? The long-standing argument, are video games art, or are they not? And although it did take a long time to get there, the general consensus is, yeah, video games are art. And we did that because we determined what is art. Well, art is creative, it's expressive, it's a lot of these things. And video games happen to check all of those boxes. But I would go a little bit further than that. Is it true that video games are expressive? Yes. Are they interpretive? Yes, they are all of these things that art are. But when it comes to making video games, and you look at the people that are involved in this, I mean, once upon a time, if you wanted to be a painter, you would train under somebody who was already a great painter, hopefully. Or you would spend years where you were refining your craft, doing the best you could on your own. When we talk about people who work in like the gaming industry, we look at people that have spent their entire lives learning how to write code, their entire lives learning 3D modeling, You know, things like that. We're talking people who have gone through the rigor to practice and train and learn to perfect what they're doing. Nothing they do is random. Nothing they do is nothing they do is happenstance. When they go to create something, they actually create it. It doesn't just happen. Which is what this is. Now, that being said, there are a few criticisms here. I've been playing around with this program for a while. This is called Stable Diffusion. That's the image generation program. And it's hard to really call it AI because it's definitely not AI. It's an algorithm. This is algorithmic. It's not actually thinking. In the same way that you have language models like ChatGPT, which will go out and they will scan just billions of documents and web pages and books and everything else so that they can better understand how language functions on a syntax level, on a grammar level, on all of these things. Image generation kind of does the same thing. And so we can tell this thing what we want, and it's going to scour the internet looking for the various things that we're looking for, and it tries to make the best guess and create something that approximates what we want. Now, in that way, I actually do find there's an argument that this is not art. Because this is much like the whole bucket paint thing, where you're not actually doing anything, you're just spinning the image generator and seeing what comes out. At the same time, though, after working with this thing for a long time, well, not a long time, it's been a long time lately. I've been putting in some long hours with this thing lately. Not doing stuff like this, but I've been putting in some long hours. I'm starting to learn that there is an actual artistic value to this. Specifically in that, while it is true that once you hit the prompt button, whatever comes out is fairly random, the knowledge that you need to actually manipulate the program, to try and steer it in the direction that you're going, is different. It's not like the bucket where you simply fill the paint in, rip the tape off, and just let it go. This is more akin to ripping the tape off and then holding the rope on the bucket as you try to get the bucket to create what you want. It's not just creating spirals on a canvas, it's actually trying to paint something on that canvas using the bucket. So, for example, since we're doing a whole lot of Warhammer stuff lately, I figured I would try some Warhammer-related stuff. I tried to do some Eldar, and, not really sure if this is what Eldar is supposed to be like. I will say this, AI generation is weird. It's a bit hard to figure out what the program was thinking sometimes. But it does do some things well. So if we come down here and just say 40K, let's go with a Lehman Russ tank. And we'll see what happens when we try this. Now, one thing that I don't understand if I'm doing right or wrong is how long this usually takes. Because it usually takes a really long time to generate these images with this model that I happen to be using. And again, still learning a lot of things. So, like over here, I've got these models. And there's a lot of them. And some of them seem to be better than others. Some of them don't seem to work at all. Like, I followed a tutorial that told me that I needed to get this base and refiner. We're using the base right now, but we might try the refiner later. And also this Think Diffusional XL. I think I did something wrong with this one because this does not work at all. Yeah, I don't know why. And then the Fluff Fusion and Easy Fluff and all that stuff, that's for making furry models. Which I played around with, and I've had a lot more luck with that. But I figured we'll try to do some more general stuff and figure out how this is working. And like I said, kind of a chill day. Because while this is working, you know, we can talk. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news. But nothing that I really wanted to talk about too much. And some of it that's just like, I mean, what more can I say that hasn't been said a million times already by everybody else? Because there's only so many news stories out there right now, and everyone is covering them. Like, yesterday was the end of the Fannie Willis stuff in Georgia, where the district attorney and the lead prosecutor had a pre-existing relationship, and they were committing fraud and embezzlement and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, well, what do you want me to say? A lot of people are just like, well, it's going to be the end of the whole trial. And the judge said, well, I'll drop 6 charges out of like 40. So it ain't the end of the trial. And then people were saying that the entire office is going to be discredited, and they're going to be removed, and the case is going to be, you know, completely dropped. Well, guess what? The case wasn't dropped, and the office was not removed. And even though what the judge ordered is that the district attorney had, either the district attorney had to go or the lead prosecutor had to go, the lead prosecutor, Nathan Wade, I think it was, did voluntarily step down. But as I've told other people, I mean, he's just going to get another position. He won't be the lead prosecutor anymore, so he'll work a support role. It's not like this is actually anything of newsworthiness. There was another case that came out just yesterday, I think. Maybe it was the day before. There was like a shooting on a New York subway. And a lot of people made a really big deal out of it because as crime has been going up in New York, New York City has actually deployed the National Guard into their subways. Which is insane. But what's more insane is the fact that anyone is surprised by this. And everyone's like, I can't believe that somebody was shot in the head on the subway with the National Guard in the subway systems. Like, well, okay, first off, number one, the National Guard are in the subway. They're not in the subway trains. So, what were they going to do about this? And number two, it's New York City. This is the normal right now. There's somebody murdered every single day in New York City. At the rate they're going to replace Chicago as the murder capital of the U.S. Actually, I technically don't think that Chicago is the murder capital of the U.S. I forget which city it was. It might have been Baltimore. Either way, though, New York is looking to surpass Chicago in that regard. It's getting bad enough in New York that even the mayor is coming out and saying, hold on, I think we might have made a mistake. So maybe we want to back off from the whole sanctuary city thing. Maybe we might want to start like enforcing the law and punishing crimes again. But here's the thing, the ship has sailed on that one, my friend. Because you've already inserted into all of your governmental positions people who don't want police. And they don't want, law. And they want to have a sanctuary status. And they want all of these things. So, you're outnumbered now. I mean, it's like listening to Tim Pool. He had an example, and it's a great example. You have a house, you have an extra room, and you decided to let somebody move in, okay? And you say, okay, but here, when it comes to snack time, we have fruits. And the person that just moved in says, oh, well, I mean, that's great and all, but when I have snack time, I have vegetables. And so you have to come together, you have to compromise and say, well, maybe one day we'll have fruits, maybe one day we'll have vegetables. Who knows? And then your new roommate decides they're going to invite somebody in. And you're just like, well, hold on a second. I don't think we should let that person in. But they convince you to say yes, and you say, all right, fine. We'll let this one other person in, and bam, just like that. Now there's two people in there who both agree they want vegetables for a snack. And you who wanted fruits, you are outvoted every single time now. And when it comes to inviting another person in, well, it's still a 2-to-1 vote. That person gets to come in too. Now it's a 3-to-1 vote, and so on and so on and so on. That's where New York is right now. There is no going back for New York. It's done. Let's see. Let's take a look at that. Okay, that's about what I expected. I wish there was a way to make this faster, but I don't understand enough about it to see or to know how to make it faster, unfortunately. I'm sure there's different nodes that I might be able to use, or maybe different models. It's hard to say because I don't know. I'm not even really sure what this model stuff is. I'm sure the model is a listing. It's like it's probably just like a library of data points. Or maybe it's just how it searches the internet. Maybe it's like a search algorithm. I'm not sure. All I know is that I've got this model here. I think it might be like a search algorithm because then it can go to my prompts, and this is where I guess it goes through the internet and searches for the things that I want and then takes out the things that I don't want. I know this thing down here just controls the images. So I can change how many images we get out of it and how big the pictures are. This is just so that I can recycle images through. I learned that trick. This VAE encode, I don't actually know what it is. All I do know is that the load image has to go through the VAE encode, and then that goes into the K sampler. And what the K sampler is, I don't know. But what I think this does is it basically tries to compile all the images. So it'll let go and try to find similarities in different images, pick out the things that are important, try to reassemble them in some way, and then it outputs everything here. Now this feeds into the VAE decode. I'm not actually sure what VAE... You know what? I could probably look that up while we're here. I have multiple browsers. So we need to say Stable Diffusion VAE. That is Variational Autoencoder. So that is, and my microphone is kind of in the way here. We'll just put this here. Okay, so Stable Diffusion consists of 3 parts: a variational encoder, VAE, UNet, and an optional text encoder. The VAE encoder compresses the image from pixel space to a smaller dimensional latent space, capturing a more fundamental semantic meaning of the image. Oh, so like it literally learns how to describe the color red. Interesting. Actually, that was from Wikipedia. Why don't we just go ahead and pull this over and we can read stuff together while we're waiting. And that sounds like fun, right? Let's read stuff. Okay. So this is under architecture. Stable diffusion uses a kind of diffusion model called a latent diffusion model, LDM, developed by CompV's group at LMU Munich. Oh, fun. Munich, that's in Austria, right? I think it is. Introduced in 2015, diffusion models are trained with the objective of removing successive applications of Gaussian noise on training images, which can be thought of as a sequence of denoising autoencoders. Stable diffusion consists of 3 parts. We read that in the purple already. Gaussian noise is what is that word? Iteratively sounds right, is iteratively applied to the compressed latent representation during forward diffusion. The UNet block, composed of a ResNet backbone, denoises the output from forward diffusion backwards to obtain a latent representation. Finally, the VAE decoder generates the final image by converting the representation back into pixel space. And I got a picture here. Oh, wow. So this is what it does? So it literally turns it into like static. So it takes all the images together, turns them into static, and then just starts to kind of increase the resolution. Huh. Oh! So that's what this means by steps. So over here, when we're looking at this and it says, how many steps would I like to do? It's basically how many passes it's going over. Well, that's fascinating. So right now, we're sitting at 20 steps. That's right about here. Okay then, that's interesting. Let me get back to OBS here. So, if I turn up the number of steps, it's going to slow this down considerably. But increasing the number of steps should give it a better image quality. That's good to know. Alright, let's read some more then. I'm interested. So the denoising step can be flexibly conditioned on a string of text, an image, or another modality. The encoded conditioning data is exposed to denoising UNets via a cross-attention mechanism. For conditioning on text, the fixed pre-trained clip VITL14 text encoder is used to transform text prompts into an embedding space. I have no idea what that even means. Researchers point to increased computational efficiency for training and generation as an advantage of LDMs, which we saw up here being a latent diffusion model. With 860 million parameters in the UNet and 123 million in the text encoder, Stable Diffusion is considered a relatively lightweight by 2022 standards. Unlike other diffusion models, it can run on consumer GPUs. I have a 3070, which is why somebody recommended that I use Stable Diffusion. Apparently, Stable Diffusion plays really, really nicely on NVIDIA and really, really poorly on AMD. And it can even run CPU only if the Open Vino using the Open Vino version of Stable Diffusion. Okay, so SDXL. Now, interesting, isn't that what this said? Ooh, and we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, SDXL database. This must be like the absolute base level database. So the XL uses the same architecture except larger UNet backbone, larger cross-detection context, 2 text encoders instead of 1, and trained on multiple aspect ratios, not just the square aspect ratio like the previous versions. The SDXL refiner released at the same time, has the same architecture, but is trained to add fine details to pre-existing images via text conditional image to image. Okay! I think I know what that means. So, over here, I asked it to make a Lehman Russ tank. Let's see how we did. Well, it's a tank. Hold on. Let me just go ahead and pull up. Let's go to the wiki. Okay, let's go to the 40K wiki. Oh, I spelled Lehman Russ wrong. I'm sure that it's enjoying that. Alright, let's bring this back. Okay, so there's Lehman Russ. Oh. He's a space wolf. I didn't realize that. But what about his tank? Now see, this is where I actually do fail when it comes to Warhammer 40K. I'm not good with names, I'm not good with places, I'm not good with dates, okay? Basically history. I'm not good with history. I mean, I'm a whiz when it comes to the whole mechanical thing of it, and I can talk, you know, things like lore for a long time, but when it comes to like the history stuff, I fall down on it. Although I guess lore and history are kind of the same thing. War gear? Ah, forget this. I don't want to be here. We'll go to the very beginning. Imperium of Man, Astra Militarum. Well, Astra Militarum. Okay, and now that we're at the Astra Militarum, how about war gear? Notable events, don't care. Proxy of War, don't care. Anatomy of a regiment, sure. Ranking, psychers, forces, troops, fast attack. Ah, here we go. Lehman Russ main battle tank. And does this just lead back to Lehman Russ? Oh, no, it actually is the tank. Okay, there it is. Can we find a better picture of it, though? That's kind of a better picture. Alright. Okay, I remember this tank. This is the stubby little tank. It's kind of adorable. Okay, so we got the stubby little tank there. Now, did this come close to anything? No, that looks like an M1 Abrams, not a Lehman Russ. That's closer, kinda. I have no idea what's going on with that front track, and this is where the whole AI image generation completely falls apart. It's like all I wanted was a Lehman Russ tank. What even is this? It has no interpretation. That's actually probably the closest one I've seen. And that one's actually just awful. Okay. I did it bad. It probably does not help that I spelled it wrong. So we'll correct that and we'll try again. We'll try that again and see what happens. Alright, in the meantime, let's see. So SD 3.0, don't know anything about that. Training data. So Stable Diffusion was trained on pairs of images and captions taken from the Leon 5B, a publicly available dataset derived from common crawl data scraped from the web, where 5 billion image-text pairs were classified based on language and filtered into separate datasets by resolution, a predicted likelihood of containing a watermark, and predicted aesthetic score. Example given, subjective visual quality. The dataset was created by Leon, a German nonprofit which receives funding from Stability AI. The Stable Diffusion model was trained on 3 subsets of Leon 5B, that being the Leon 2B English, I assume that's English, Leon High Resolution, and Leon Aesthetics version 2.5 plus. I don't know what those are, but they sound impressive. A third-party analysis of the model's training data identified that out of a smaller subset of 12 million images taken from the original wider dataset used, approximately 47% of the sample size of images came from 100 different domains, with Pinterest taking up 8.5% of the subset, followed by websites such as WordPress, Blogspot, Flickr, DeviantArt, oh god, not DeviantArt, and the Wikimedia Commons. Oh, could you imagine what happened if they infected it with Tumblr? An investigation by... don't even know how to pronounce that name. Showed that Leon's datasets hosted by Hugging Face contained large amounts of private and sensitive data. I mean, you said DeviantArt. That stuff is usually intimately private. Limitations. So, Stable Diffusion has images with degradation and inaccuracies in certain scenarios. You don't say. I mean, can we just marvel at this for a minute? I mean, is that not one of the worst things you've ever seen? But almost in a hilarious kind of way. I mean, I don't even know what this thing down here is supposed to be. I got nothing on that one. And is this supposed to be like a bayonet on the tank? Also, is that now that I look, is that a helmet? Does the tank have a helmet? I don't even know anymore. It's like the longer you look at it, the worse it gets. That's actually impressive. The longer you look at it, the worse it gets. And I mean, I was ignoring the little people. I think there's supposed to be people standing on top of it. I think this thing is grossly oversized. I don't think the tank is that big, because if we look at this thing, there's somebody hanging out the top. This thing only has a crew of like 4 people, I think. I don't know, how many people go into a Lehman Russ? It is crewed by a minimum of 4 crewmen, including a commander, gunner, loader, driver. So basically a standard tank crew. Side spawns and weapons may be added, each of which requires an additional crew member to operate. It is simple to operate, but very loud and uncomfortable for its crew due to the noise. Intra-vehicle communication is only viable by an enclosed intercom system, with the commander having access to an external voxcaster, where he can shout, "Drive me closer, I want to hit them with my sword." And if you're not familiar with that, hold on a second, because it is a 40k meme that is worth your time. There it is. So we'll just open this up in a new window. Oh wait, I actually didn't want a new window. I wanted image in a new tab. There we go. And I apologize for inflicting Reddit on you, but it's worth it. Because this image has been on the internet for like 20 years, and it still gets better every single time I see it. You gotta love it. Drive me closer, I want to hit them with my sword. Because that is your typical your typical commander. Okay, so yeah, only 4 people really fit in this thing. Although if you put the two side guns on, that increases your crew to about 6. I feel like this could fit almost 60. Okay, maybe that's a bit high, but still more. It's just the longer you look at it, the worse it gets. I don't know. It's truly impressive. All right, well, that's going to take more time. I kind of want to look at more of this, though. Like, what are the different kinds of tanks? So, let's see. There's an Annihilator. I mean, we're going to be back to looking at Warhammer 40k stuff tomorrow anyway, but now I'm just kind of... I'm in that flow state where it's just like, I want to go with it. So, this replaces the main battle tanking with twin-link las cannons. I like lasers. The Conqueror. Let's see. Standard template. Armored the Conqueror cannon as opposed to the standard cannon. Sacrifices outright destructive power in exchange for improved mobility. That's fun. There's the Demolisher, which is equipped with a Demolisher cannon, short-range bombardment, and line breaker. The Executioner with a Plasma Destroyer, which is a slightly more powerful version of the plasma cannon. There's Eradicators. These also have Demolisher cannons. Exterminators with twin-linked autocannons. Fun. Ooh, and the Incinerator. You don't get points for guessing what's on that one. All I can say is somebody's having a good time. And somebody's not. Yeah, I think this is probably the best tank that we got over here. But that's not a Lehman Russ. That's basically just an M1 Abrams tank. Well, M1A1, I guess I should say. And again, I wish you knew how to make it faster. Maybe I can look up how to make that faster. So... Stable Diffusion, SDXL, Speed. And maybe we can find a way to make this a little bit faster. So it says, out of the box, Stable Diffusion XL 1.0 takes about 8 to 10 seconds to create a 1024 by 1024 image with a prompt on an A100 GPU. This is taking much longer. Let's see. And let's see, this one just says to give up on comfy UI and go to Auto 1111. Well, we're not doing that, obviously. And this also says go to Auto 1111. So, I guess maybe it's a comfy UI thing. That's unfortunate. Oh well. It's fine. I'm not in a hurry to be anywhere. Are you in a hurry to be anywhere? Didn't think so. But we'll see if this makes any difference. Maybe we can actually try a different model. Like, what if we try the Refiner? Maybe that'll do something different. Or we can start, you know, ticking boxes and adjusting things and see if that makes any difference either. Don't know. Like I said, still investigating, still exploring, seeing what happens. And check something else here real quick while we're waiting on this thing to generate. And we should be able to actually check on the command prompt to see where the progress is. We're sitting at 75%. Oh, 80%. Yeah, I have found this is actually kind of a fun thing to kind of do in the background, actually. Usually doesn't take this long, but even so, it's fun to just kind of sit there, think about what you're doing, plug everything in, and hit the button, let it render, walk away, do something else, although usually that something else is like 30 seconds. So like while I'm editing, I can be doing this at the same time because I can just say, okay, we'll run this, we'll hit compile, or rather Q prompt in this case, and I can go back to editing, and then like 30 seconds to a minute later, I've got images. And then I can go through, pick one that I like, and then usually recycle that through. And we can try doing that if we get a decent looking Lehman Russ tank. I tried actually doing some Space Marines earlier this morning, and that was kind of fun. It didn't exactly know what to do with them, and I guess it has a hard time with faces. I'm not sure, because every Space Marine has the Imperial, or has that skull like right in the center of their armor's torso, and it didn't seem to know how to make skulls, except for the one picture I had where the Space Marine's helmet was replaced with a skull. It does weird things, and sometimes they're hilarious, and sometimes they're horrifying, but, you know, either way, figuring it out. Oh, and by the way, when it talks about all these different nodes, like, there are so many nodes, and I have no idea what all these do. Like, now I know that VAE, I know the meaning for that now, because we looked it up here. So yeah, VAE, the Variational Autoencoder. But I don't actually know what that does to know if I should really be doing stuff, because like if I look in here, and I look in VAE, I've got decode, encode, encode for inpainting, and I'm not even sure what that does. There's just a VAE loader that I don't think we're using. Tiled, VA save. I don't know what this stuff actually does. There's upscaling, which is interesting because I have seen upscaled stuff in or on YouTube, people going through and taking old shows like Babylon 5, Star Trek, Stargate, things like that, and using image generation to upscale the resolution from cable, which was like 480p, I think, if I remember right, all the way up to 4K. And some of it actually looks pretty good. Speaking of things that look good, let's take a look at what we got. Well, we're getting closer. It still looks like more of a modern tank, but with like an Imperial Guardsman on top. That looks a little bit closer to a Lehman Russ, but that's a weird looking barrel. That does look like looks like an Imperial Guardsman. It looks like one of those guys from oh, what's that? What's the Death World? Krieg? It looks kind of like a Krieg. What else we got? Just looks like a tank. And that one also just looks like a tank. Although with a weird looking barrel on the end of it. But you know what? This is where refinement comes in. So, what if we were to try and refine one of these images? Like, what's the best image we have here? I think it'd be this one. So what if we do this? We're going to save this. We'll save this. And then, because I learned how to do this, I'm going to come over here, pick a file to upload. We're going to grab this tank. Now I can run this image through the VAE encoder. Again, I'm not exactly sure what it does, but I think it's going to turn the image into that noise that we saw. We run the latent image down here, and try this again, I think. Let's see. Prompt output failed. Required input is missing VAE. Oh, okay. That was my bad. I forgot to plug that in. There we go. Now we can try it again. We'll see if this goes any faster or slower. Looks like it's going to be about the same speed. And we'll see what that does to the image over here. Now, because we're running it from the image, and I haven't figured out a way around this yet, it's only going to give us the one image because it was down here that we could choose the batch size. Up here, I don't seem to have that option. At least not that I've found yet. Yeah, because there's nothing I can do here for batch size. Unfortunately. And it's not like I can give it multiple outputs either. This thing will only connect to one. There are some where you can have multiple connections between them, like this VAE is connected to two different things. But like, I can't have this, I can't have the VAE decode go into multiple save image windows. For reasons that I don't entirely understand. Actually, no, I guess it kind of makes sense, because without that thing to tell it the number of images to generate, even if I did have multiple save windows here, it would probably just give me multiples of the same image. So, yeah, I guess. And I can only have one thing coming into the latent image here. I can change it, but I can only have one going into it. And then up here, it actually does say mask. I have not yet figured out what the mask is yet. But you know what? Since we're just here, we're learning, why don't we look that up? So, comfy UI load image mask. And we'll see what this says. Okay, so I got two options here. One of them is on Reddit. And so, as much as Reddit is... Ooh, that's a video. I'm loath to play a video, but... Well, this is working, why not? Okay. Let's take a look at what it has to say.
Okay, hello and welcome to a Comfy UI Fundamentals tutorial. We're going to be covering masking today. Now, masking is a process by which you use a black and white image or a grayscale image to select an area for use as you might need it. So you could use it for cutting one image out of another image. You could use it for selecting the area to do a particular process on. You can use it for all kinds of stuff like that.
Alright, well that makes sense actually. Okay, so I think I get it. That means that masking in Comfy UI is really not that much different from masking in, say, Premiere, which I am much more familiar with, since I use Premiere almost every day. Alright, so that means that if I wanted to use the image as a mask, I could load up a black and white image, and instead of running image through the VA encode, I would run the mask through something else. Well, that makes sense. Also, we're done. So what do we got here? Well, I knew it was going to be very similar. Let's put this right here. We'll drag this up here so that we can compare. Alright, well, I mean, that's something. So if we come back and look at the Lehman Russ tank, we'll pull that image back up. Actually, that's kind of a better image. So that is the Lehman Russ tank as made by Games Workshop. And that's what we've got. The barrel looks a bit better. But that's about it. Yeah, it's got a lot of work to do. It would take a lot of refinement. I wonder what happened if we actually took this. So what if we did this? I will save this image. So this is a Lehman Russ Annihilator. And hopefully this being a WBP file will be fine. I guess we'll find out. And then I'll try to find that and we'll try to run this again. So I'm going to go down to Pictures, go down to L's, too far. Where is it? I don't think it recognizes WBP files because I'm not seeing it. Well, that's unfortunate. Although, not surprising. So, can't use that. Oh well. Worse things have happened. I wonder what would happen if I tried to get this one. Is this one also going to be a WEBP file? If I tried to save you? Yeah, it is. Alright, won't waste my time then. Let's try something different then. Put that back over there. Put that back over there. We'll move the latent back up to here. And we'll try something a bit more near and dear to my heart. So we'll go Adeptus Mechanicus, Skitari, and we'll see what that can do. And I'm not using any negative prompts right now, just because I don't see the need to at the moment. But essentially you can tell it to look for everything that you want it to generate from in the encode prompt up here. And then down here, right, it's depicted up here. So these are both conditioning prompts. These are both identical. It's just then where you feed them. So this is going to be all of my positive prompts, is all my negative. Right now we're just taking out any blur in the image, any noise in the image. And this is all based on things like the metadata that's inside of pictures on the internet. At least as I understand it. Which, you know, my understanding of this, not exactly the highest. Though again, to be fair, I downloaded this on like Wednesday. So I haven't been at it that long. Let's see. Masking and in-painting, that's good, but I think we can do that another time. Don't really need to, Actually, I am curious. What about mask connections? So that is the same video again. Maybe we can check this. So GitHub pages. So yeah, here's where we go. Load image as mask. But where does the mask actually connect to? Not sure. Maybe it just goes into another image spot. Because, like, this load image connects into the VAE encode into pixels, not also image. I don't know. Could be worth tinkering with later. But I do think that I may cut the stream a little bit short today, just because of how long this takes. This would be a lot better if I could make it run faster. I didn't realize that it was going to be running this slowly because it didn't run this slowly when I first turned it on and generated my first image. Which, I mean, the first image that I did, they said to generate like some apples or something. I actually went ahead and did something different. And the very first image that I put out actually came out really well. Wonder if I can find it. Because it was up here a bit. Yeah, there it is. So I didn't do apples. I did a chalice. There it is. That was the very first image that I generated with this. And not gonna lie, I was pretty impressed by it. Is it perfect? No. But is it shiny? It's very shiny, and I can appreciate the shininess of it. I said gold chalice with sapphires, rubies, emeralds. I got exactly what I asked for. So, I mean, I was pretty proud of that. Since then, I've been tinkering with it a little bit here and there, trying to make it work for me. You are taking so long, though. You should not be taking this long. I feel like I'm missing a piece somewhere. And there's like so many options down here that I don't understand. Like, what even is the sampler name? I'm going to take this away and put this into another window. So I'm going to say ksampler and sampler name. Oh, it's back here in the manual. Maybe I should really pay attention to this more. Let's see. Maybe we should just look into some of these. So, like, core nodes? Oh, here we go. Sampling. The sampling node provides a way to denoise images using a diffusion model. For an overview of available schedules and samplers, see here. Please don't be porn. Oh! It's under construction. You can see it right there. It's under construction. That's not helpful. Okay. What about this? Okay, K-sampler. So, uses the provided model and positive and negative conditioning to generate a new version of given latent. First, the latent is noised up according to the given seed and denoise strength. Right, that's right down there. Erasing some of the latent image, then this noise is removed using the given model. Okay. Which right now we're just using the SDXL. And the positive and negative conditioning is guidance, dreaming up new details in places where the image was erased by noise. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the model is used for denoising, positive conditioning, negative conditioning. I understand that. The latent image is the image that will be denoised. So that's... Right. So right now, we're not actually giving it an image to be denoised because we're just doing an empty latent image. So essentially, we're starting with blank canvases, and we're just throwing it 4 blank canvases and saying, here, just do something. Don't care what you do, just do something. And then afterwards is where we put it back in here and we turn this into the latent image, which it will then refine through the latent image here. Okay, the seed is random and creating the noise. That's understandable. Control after generate. That's up here, randomized. Provides the ability to change the seed number as described above after each prompt. The node can be randomized, incremented, de-incremented, or fixed. I never actually paid that much attention. I didn't realize that it was changing the seed every time. That makes sense, though. Number of steps. We discussed that earlier when we were looking on Wikipedia, because the steps are these, and they just seem to affect the clarity of it. Sampler name, which is what I kind of wanted to look up. Right now it's Euler. So, type of schedule to use. See the samplers page for more details on available schedules, which we were already there. We didn't see any. And denoise. How much information of the latents should be erased by the noise. Now, given that it's set to 1.0 by default, in computer terms, I think that might actually mean the entire image. Going over that would do basically nothing, but going under that would actually leave some of the previous image behind. If I'm understanding it right, okay? I'm using a lot of logical leaps here, just because I don't really understand it. And then the output is latent. I got that. So, interesting. Let's look at some of these others. We already looked at masking, but we still have no idea what takes that. So what if we look at something different? This VAE encode. This has a pixel input and a VAE input. What if we can find what that pixel input is? Would that be under advanced? Maybe not. Conditioning. Also maybe not. What about under image? So invert image, load image, preview image, save image, post-processing. Huh. Image blending? Oh, okay. When it says image blend, it literally means that. You just take two images and it will try to merge them together. Okay, that's cool. So, first two images, pretty obvious. Blend factor is the opacity of the image. And blend mode. I wonder what that looks like. We can actually do that here. So, image blend. And this can either be normal, multiply, screen, overlay, soft light, or difference. I'm not sure how we do that, but, I mean, we can work on it. For now, though, I just want to see if we can do Skitari. And maybe we'll make that the last one that we generate today, given how long these take. I mean, today's just kind of a chill day. Like I said, didn't have anything planned, didn't really want to do anything too heavy, just kind of wanted to play for a day. So, this is my version of playing. Alright, well, we're not going to use this right now. Still, good to know. Nope, not that one. This one. Okay. We can close that. So, save image, all of that. Pad image for outpainting. I do hear a lot of people talk about in-painting and out-painting, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. Maybe we should look that up. I mean, we are right here. So, VAE encode for in-painting. What even is in-painting? Can I find out? Guess not. Let's just go through this first. Set a latent noise max, or mask. Ah, there we go. See, this has a mask input. So this can be used to add a mask to the latent image for in-painting. When the noise mask is set, a sampler node will only operate on the masked area. If a single mask is provided, all latents in the batch will use this mask. So, we go with the load image, right here. Instead of using image, we'll use the mask, which will then go into the set latent noise mask node, along with any samples that we wanted to add. I'm not sure where those are going to come from. That's pink, not blue. But then, that'll be our latent output. Actually, if that's where latent comes out... Oh, wait, no, if that's where latent comes out, then we would then connect that into the latent image here in the sampler, which would then output to there. Oh, and we got our Skitari. Alright, let's see what we got. Alright, so, as usual, all AIs have a lot of problems when it comes to words. Although I gotta say it's at least a good attempt. I mean, that almost looks like Warhammer up there. I don't have any idea what this was supposed to be, though. Maybe that's supposed to be Space Marines? Is that what it was trying for? This was supposed to be Adeptus Mechanicus, I know that much. However, those are not Skitarii. I mean, it's not the worst thing I've seen. They are red, okay, that's important. All Skitarii have to be red. They are wearing long coats because they work in radiation areas. They always wear long coats that protect them from fallout. I don't think that Skitarii wears shoulder pauldrons, though. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't remember them wearing shoulder pauldrons. So we're gonna go with where they? Here they are. All right, Mechanicus. Where are my Skitarii? Should be a link to them somewhere up here, right? Yeah, here we go. Skitarii Legions. Yeah, there's our Skitarii. They do not wear shoulder pauldrons. I didn't think so. So, that's wrong. They are wearing hoods, though, so that seems right, except for this guy. I have no idea what's up with his face, though. That's just... and what is this they're wearing on their chest? Looks like a washboard. Alright, what else we got? Well, it's got the coat, but no hood, and still wearing, like, the Space Marine shoulder armor. So, I don't know. That gun is just... I don't know, it actually kind of works. Because all the Skitarii stuff kind of looks like trash. I don't even know what this picture is. Apparently it was trying to create, like, a model sheet with all the different reference views. I don't know. And then there's this one, which... I mean, for what it is, it's kind of interesting. It's a battlefield photo. But I mean, that looks more like a Space Marine or a Tech Marine. Except for the skull. Which is kind of weird. I gotta give it credit. It can at least try to do this stuff. However, remember when we started talking about this, and I was talking about how I define art by that which takes practice, training, and refinement in order to produce something, you know, worthwhile. What we've created here, this is trash, okay? This is the equivalent of your 5-year-old coming to you with a drawing they made with crayons so that you can stick it up on the fridge so everyone can see it. The child is very proud, yes. However, every adult in the room knows that this is not art. This is not art. This is just random garbage. But where I think that this whole AI thing turns into art is here. When I tried to explain to somebody what I was doing before, somebody who was completely tech illiterate, I said that trying to use an image generator is trying to drive your car without touching the steering wheel. Okay? You're allowed to do anything else you want. You can do anything you want. You can rock back and forth in the car, you can pound on the seats, you can open the doors, you can drag your boots out behind the car, but you can't touch the steering wheel. You have to try and get it to steer itself to where you want to go. And in that way, it's no different than, say, an art or a musician trying to get a band to play a composition. is the conductor actually playing the music? No. But do we consider what the conductor is doing to be art? Yes. An individual musician is an artist. However, for the musician, their instrument is their instrument. For the conductor, their instrument is the symphony. Which is exactly what you're doing here. You are not playing the instrument here. You are not the one putting pen to paper and trying to create the image. Instead, you are the conductor trying to direct the symphony to play the music. Or in this case, trying to get the interpretive models to create the image that you want. And in that way, I gotta say, yes, it is absolutely art. You are the one who has to come through to put in the effort to learn how to think like it does, to get it to understand you, to create that connection, so that you can then create something together. Is this the Mona Lisa? Absolutely not. Will this ever rival the Sistine Chapel? Never. But is it art? Yeah, I think it's art. Does anyone start calling myself an artist? Absolutely not. At least, not until I get much better. But what I can say is that if I can figure this out, it will open up so many doors. Like making things like tokens when we get around to doing the tabletop games. Or maybe doing portraits or things like that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So, with that, I think I'm actually going to cut this off here. And we will leave a little bit early this time. Since, as far as I know, there's nobody here. That's fine, because that means that nobody's going to be disappointed. And I so do not want to disappoint people. But that's okay, because as long as I'm not disappointed in myself, everything is good. And I'm not disappointed in myself. Not this time, at least. There are times. Just not this time. So, if you've enjoyed this at all and you'd like to see more things like this, especially if you come in like after the fact, you watch the stream and just say, hey, that AI stuff, that was cool. Do more of that. If you like that kind of stuff, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. That way you get notified every time these videos come out. If you know somebody else who is also into image generation, whether that be through Comfy UI or the Auto 1111 or whatever it happens to be. If you know somebody else who's into it, maybe share it with them. Maybe they can help me out. And if you like what I'm doing, you can leave a like on the video. Or if you have tips and tricks and things for me, you can leave it down in the comments, either in the comments under this video, or you can follow the link in the description to the Discord server and you can give me tips there. Either way, though, I mean, if you want to talk to me, that's fine. You can do that. So, we don't really need this anymore. Don't really need this anymore. And I think we're ready to get out of here. So, thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you, everybody in the future, for coming back to see this. And I will see you tomorrow for the normal tabletop stream. We're still working on Eldar weapons, so that's going to be a thing. Eldar crazy. And I will be back next Saturday, probably with a proper lecture, so we'll see what happens then. Oh, JP was in the chat. Hi, JP. Did you just get here? Because I missed you. I don't know. I can talk to you later, too. I know where you are. You're already in the Discord. So, I will talk to you another time. I will see you tomorrow for the tabletop stream. And until then, take care.